Hey guys, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics with some potentially very good news. So, Betsy DeVos is a scarily bad candidate from Donald Trump for Secretary of Education, and two Republicans have broken rank and have pledged to vote against Betsy DeVos. Those two Republicans are Susan Collins of Maine, who's often described as a moderate Republican, although there are not many moderate Republicans left, and Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. You don't hear too much about Alaska anymore since Sarah Palin's not in the public eye, but yes, it was Senator Murkowski of Alaska and Senator Collins of Maine. So this is very good news. Right now, that means that the vote, if all Democrats commit to continuing to vote against her, which they have said really from the beginning, that means that it's a virtual tie. But obviously, Mike Pence is the vice president, and he is the president of the Senate, and he is the head of the Senate, so he would break that tie. So again, there are 52 Republicans. That means currently the vote would be a tie. And that means that we just need one more Republican to break rank. So is that going to happen? I'm not exactly sure. All of the Democrats have really chosen Betsy DeVos as a unified front that they're going to completely oppose her. Because she has an extremely disastrous confirmation hearing, it isn't just that she's a Trump pick, because the Democrats don't have the balls enough to oppose every Trump pick, and also don't have the numbers because the Democrats are incompetent and couldn't win anything in this election. But during her confirmation hearing, she said a bunch of questionable things. So DeVos said she has no experience. She's a multi-billionaire donor to the Republican Party. Some estimates have her and her family donating over $200 million to the Republican Party. So that's not the exact number, but it's a rough and close number to what the hundreds of millions of dollars that she and her family have donated. And she is a billionaire herself. She has no experience in education policy, and she suggested that guns might belong in schools to protect from potential grizzlies. So she's an idiot too. Fumbled over basic questions about the education system. She didn't know very basic concepts within the education community and wouldn't commit to protecting the rights of vulnerable students. I mean, that's as simple as it can get. So she had some very difficult questioning from Tim Kaine and Bernie Sanders, and the Democrats, again, have chosen her to unite against. Secretary of Education, I would not say is the most important position in the cabinet, just because the Secretary of Education does not have as much power over the state's decisions about education as, say, someone in a more umbrella overreaching cabinet position would have. But this is important that the Democrats are putting up a unified front. Again, Betsy DeVos, billionaire donor to the Republican Party. This is Trump draining the swamp by putting the donors in power positions where they basically have no experience whatsoever. She's also disastrous because she's supportive of Trump's $20 billion voucher proposal that he talked about in the primary, which would decimate the public school system. And I will read a quote in education reporter named Dana Goldstein and about what the voucher system does. Recent studies of voucher programs in Louisiana and Ohio found that students who use vouchers to attend private schools score, on average, lower standardized tests than demographically similar students who do not use vouchers. In New Orleans, 2 years after winning a private school voucher, the average student had lost 13 points of learning in math. Many of the private schools that did accept vouchers had experienced previous enrollment declines, indicating that they were unpopular with parents who could afford to pay tuition on their own. So the voucher program is a way to enrich the private school system while having actually no benefit for the students whatsoever. That sounds like the Republican Party, doesn't it? And Donald Trump was supposed to be a new kind of Republican, but this is a very traditional Republican talking point. And she is pro-voucher program. So Betsy DeVos is terrifying, and I'm glad that the Democrats have a unified front. Again, we need one more Republican to break the tiebreaker with Mike Pence. So, will there be another Republican that breaks rank? I honestly can say to you that I have no idea, because this has been such a tumultuous process. But what I do see is a crack in the rank and file of the Republican Party. So Rex Tillerson, by the way, was just confirmed. No crack there. People don't care, go ahead with oil, and yeah, he's friends with Putin and gonna approve this $500 billion deal that enriches both Russia and ExxonMobil, but go ahead, that's the crony capitalism that we like. But there is a break in the Republican Party. People aren't just lining up behind Donald Trump as their dear leader, despite the fact that they have a majority in the Senate and the House, and obviously they have a hold of the presidency. So another example of this is John McCain basically saying, no, I will not institute torture under any circumstances, despite the fact that Trump said it worked on a nightly talk show. A quote from McCain: "The president can sign whatever executive order he likes, but the law is the law. We are not bringing back torture in the United States of America." John McCain calls himself a maverick. He is a different kind of Republican in many ways and a warmonger, but give him a ton of credit on this issue. He is obviously a victim of torture himself and does not want to see torture being brought back by the United States military. Another Republican who also broke away from Donald Trump on torture is Senator John Thune of South Dakota, a Republican. He's the number 3 Republican leader in the ranking, and he said this: "With respect to torture, that's banned. The Army Field Manual makes that very clear, and the law is now tied to the Army Field Manual." When President Obama first got into office, one of his first executive orders was to ban torture, and then in 2015, the law was signed by Congress, so the executive order was put through the proper legislative process, and the legislation said that it has to be tied to the Army Field Manual. That's how you determine what is legal and what is not in respect to interrogation methods. So, look, things are not disastrous quite yet. There are some Republicans that may try to break rank with him, and this is important for the future because there could be an impeachment process down the line. That's not crazy to say. In fact, I would put it over 50% at this point. And senators like John McCain and Senator Thune and Senator Susan Collins, people like that are going to be important because they stood up to the president and they may want an impeachment process to go through. But then we're stuck with Mike Pence, so, oh, yeah. And then if we impeach Mike Pence, then we got Paul Ryan. Oy, everything's terrible, but you know what? There's light at the end of the tunnel. Stay smiling, guys. Have a great day.